Let's do it.
All right, here we go.
You're listening to Inside Real Estate, your source for all things mortgage and real estate related. The show that brings you all the hottest topics and insights directly from those who know it most. Now sit back and enjoy the show.
Yo, we've had some issues today. What is going on? What's up, everyone? Paul Paslakis, Salvatore Kuzmano, Brad Weisgerber. We are Inside Real Estate. We've got a really special guest, Craig Joe-Rate. How are you, sir?
I am excellent. Thank you guys for having me today.
Awesome, dude. So just so everybody knows, we had to push back the show from yesterday because Michigan ice storm. Yeah, everything was covered
actually
in ice.
wasn't
Tomorrow will be
really
70.
an
It's
ice storm. I mean,
It's just dumb.
I don't think it was that big of an ice storm.
It was bad.
It was pretty bad. I mean, look, it was
When you're like
Yeah, it was bad.
500 degrees latitude
Still bad.
north. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So the audience understands. And then today we came in and we're it's a little later, so we've been having some fun with Craig and we've been talking. All of a sudden, the stream key
Shit's broken.
Shit's broken. So here we are.
It happens.
It's fixed though.
We're
Shit's
on.
fixed.
We're
Stream
on.
keys.
So today we got
Fix your
Craig
feelings.
on. Craig was an athlete at the highest level. He was a figure skating athlete, which isn't easy. That takes a lot more skill than I'll ever have because you skate backwards and I can't even walk backwards. Which is really a big deal. He's
backwards
also a
in
real estate
circles.
agent who's done really well for himself, which I think is credit to your competitive spirit and kind of your fortitude to do that. And we'll get into that. Today we're going to have a couple topics. We're going to talk about core logic, home prices for next year. We're going to talk about Zillow prioritizing their listings over everybody else's because they're dicks. But going back, let's go back to Craig. Craig, welcome to the show, man. We're really excited to have you on. So tell us about, just to start off, how you, because obviously you were a high-level athlete. You skated for the U.S. team, which you met your wife through, but which I can get into, but we're not going to. But the reality is you transitioned into. So we've had athletes we've had other athletes on the show before that were like really high-level athletes that went into real estate, and it seems like an easy transition or like a transition that can be made based on the fact that you've got really good. A skill set of being competitive, working hard, and all that kind of translates well. So talk to me about how you got into the business and what you think is causing some of your success.
Do you want the long story?
No, dude,
Okay,
we got like
good.
an hour.
All right. So, skated for, it's been 35 years. I still coach to the day. Have athletes that are still competing at
How old are you,
nationals.
by the way?
I'm 40.
Oh, you're old, man.
I know. I'm old.
30.
You and Paul are kind of similar. You guys look like you found like a little
The
bean
fountain of youth.
from the fountain
Yeah,
of
we
youth.
look all right.
That's
Yeah,
the ice
yeah.
keeps me young.
Yeah,
The ice
yeah.
keeps me young.
So you're still doing it.
I still coach. I
All
still
right.
coach anywhere between 5 to 6 hours a week.
That's
Still have
intense,
elite
man.
athletes
All
that
right.
are there. But it's a lot of my business. I get a ton of business from it. I started skating when I was 5. Met my wife, like you said, through skating. And I'd say probably 85, 90% of my clientele is from the skating world.
So that's interesting. So a lot of your sphere that you had, obviously, I mean, being that you're a high level athlete, you come across people that are high level athletes, and it's not cheap to be a figure skating and have that as be a part of your life, right? So you probably have some good clientele. But what I'm more interested in is why real estate after that. You know what I mean?
So actually, it's a lot about with my family. My mother, my aunt, my cousin, my brothers, and godmother and second cousin are all in real estate in Ohio.
Get out of here.
Yes,
All right.
and they're all with Howard Hanna. When I stopped skating, my wife actually went to PA school.
Yeah.
And I was working 3 different jobs. I was a Zamboni driver. I was.
Dude, seriously?
That's awesome.
Oh yeah, it was great.
Back the truck up.
I won't. I
always
don't
wanted to
even
do
want to
that.
go into that because we had a lot of fun on the Zamboni.
All right.
Oh, man.
All right.
Can you get a DUI on a Zamboni?
If you take it to McDonald's drive-through,
Okay.
which we have done.
I've seen a Zamboni driving downtown Detroit, leaving the Joe, going to the outdoor. It's crazy.
That's guys. This is
I
a
wanna
show.
do that.
Zamboni, okay.
So
It's
Zamboni
interesting.
worked at a
So-
restaurant, Redcoat Tavern, Max and Irma's,
Redcoat
did all
is
that
so
stuff.
good,
So I
by
was
the way.
happened.
Oh
Oh, it's
my
great.
God.
Favorite burger at Redcoat?
Yeah. So I did that for a while until she was done, and everyone kept on telling me, "Hey, you need to get into real estate. You need to do real estate."
Yeah.
The lady that was selling my house actually taught her daughter, and she's like, "I got to introduce you to somebody," and so she introduced me to a couple people at Caldwell Banker, And she's like, I need you to get into this business. You
Yeah.
just the personality, the trust that you created with the students that you have now.
Yeah.
You got to get into this business. So
That's awesome.
Eventually, after my wife finished, I was like, no, I'll take the test. I'll go to school and take the test. See
When
what
was
happens.
this? What year was this?
It's about 8 years ago.
Oh, you've been in for 8 years. Okay,
Yeah,
all
8
right.
years, 7.5, 8 years.
Got it.
And away we went. I mean, it was, again, the skating world brought me in a lot. I was still coaching probably 35, 40 hours, so it was almost like a part-time job at the time.
Yeah.
But it really took off. And again, a lot of it came from my students that I had at that time or families that I was dealing with because I built the trust with them. And it really solidified who I was in the business and the work ethic, like you said. It's getting up, knowing what you got to do every single day. I had a plan when I was skating. I knew what I was doing every day. And for a while there, when I was in between jobs and doing that kind of stuff, it was kind of like, what's next?
Yeah.
And when the real estate came, it was, okay, get up this time, do this, and do this. And it really took off for me.
It's interesting because, getting into real estate is always like, okay, how did you get in? But like excelling at it is a whole different thing.
Well,
right?
here's a thing that I think that, people can kind of correlate to, like, no disrespect to the salary man out there, right? But essentially, like, to leave a good paying job that you're just kind of given or whatever.
Right.
Not that you're given, but that you can
Yeah,
expect
salary,
what to
it's-
come in.
yeah, yeah.
Like,
Security blanket.
that's tough, right?
Taking the security
but
blanket
like
off.
an athlete, the practice they put in is almost like the work you put in.
That's a really good
for-
point, dude.
It's almost like the work you put in on the real estate or the mortgage side. It's like, yeah, you will go like months without getting paid. On the athlete side, it's like you will go 6 or 7 years fruitless and may never even make pro.
That's a
right?
really
Yeah, I mean, you
interesting
can
point.
work your butt off for
Longer than
years,
that, yeah.
for years.
And never get paid $1.
Nothing. I hate to say this, but the skating world, we don't get paid much.
No.
Yeah.
My wife and I, we were third in the country, and I think we made $7,500 each.
Yeah.
Wait,
If I was a
wait.
golfer or I ate hot
Third in
dogs
the
for a living,
country?
Yeah. Millions
$7,500?
for hot dogs.
Wow.
yeah,
I
yeah.
made
Hot
knows
dog,
this.
hot dog
Sorry,
eaters.
I think that I'm going to take what I've learned and apply it to competitive eating.
right? I mean, listen, they can make a lot of money eating hot dogs nowadays.
Yeah.
right.
No,
The
I'm-
spider,
He's already training.
the spider
Wait.
made like 50 grand.
I do want to touch on that point. That's a really good point. I don't think we've ever brought it up, man, because nothing is given to you in sports. Nothing is given to you in that competitive, and you've got to work for every single thing that you
Well, and
get.
at the end of the day, all that matters is
I
the
wasn't
scoreboard
done.
or the rankings.
I wasn't done, man.
You're done now.
Keep
bro.
going.
So my point is same thing with sales or commission or your own business or whatever it is. You have to create your own path, much like being competitive in the sports world. Like nobody's giving you anything in that situation. You got to win every single time.
Well, it's very similar because in the sports world, you have to have a regimen, right? You have to have structure. You have to get up. You have to dribble so many
You have
times.
to,
or
to
do
train
so
and
many
practice
skates, do so
before
many-
you even
yeah.
put in the game.
You have to train the
Yeah.
same way
But here's the
over
deal.
and over and over.
Real
over. It's
estate
just
pays
like
a lot better.
sales. Sales.
does.
It's all about.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
Well, yeah.
It's changed our livelihood. I mean, I've always had the support of my family, my parents, and whatnot, but to a point where they would pay for certain things, but then they were like, all right, you got to do it on your own. Right.
Yeah.
And
No,
I remember
whoa.
like looking for change in my, in my car
crazy.
to get a little, like a $5 pizza from Little
Right.
Caesars. Right. And to now where we could take vacations, we can do the things that we've always wanted to do, and we're not living paycheck to paycheck. I mean, it's made a huge life change for us and for my family and for my three
On a
little
side
ones.
note, that's a travesty that you train that hard to work for the
Yeah.
U.S. team, and you only get paid that much.
No. But I think that ultimately,
Sal says
like,
it's not a driver's test.
it's not
You
because
should've got less.
you would not be where you're at without that.
100%.
Sure.
100%. I mean, and I tell my students that I have now and before is it's not, it sounds cliche, it's not about the end result, it's about the journey. But in reality, it really is. I mean,
Yeah.
it is
Character
what
building.
we've accomplished. And when I walk into a building or whatnot, and at first I was always afraid to say what I did. But now I'm like, you know what? I was a figure skater. Love it. Take ownership of it.
Yeah.
And
Own it,
and,
yeah,
and, it's changed a lot of things that people look at it as the respect that I do
Well,
now
we're
give.
sitting here before the podcast starts, and people are always like, "Oh, I'm a little nervous." I'm like, "You think this guy's fucking nervous?" I mean, skating the Olympics.
I didn't get to the Olympics. I did not get to the Olympics, but we did, national level,
National levels,
international.
Yeah, but you know
stuff
what I
like
mean.
that.
It's like and I think that prepares you for a lot of stuff. Like, you could take those experiences, and when you go into a listing appointment, it's like, well,
No, but I
much.
disagree with that. When it's a foreign
They're totally
situation, there's
different,
still a
yeah.
lot of pressure.
There's still pressure,
not
but
the
it just
first
depends.
listing appointment.
We're like yelling
but like,
at him.
yeah, you have to.
We're like telling him what he should think.
No, but it's how you prepare for it, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, I still get nervous, 100%.
Well, everyone gets
but
nervous
it's how
no
you,
matter what it
How you
is.
channel that, right? I mean, is what it's all
It's
about.
how you take that information and what you do with it. That's
For
the
sure.
difference. Everybody gets nervous.
Right.
Everybody gets scared. Everybody hates a Monday. We've talked about this. It's what you do with that input
Yep.
that dictates like how
Well,
you what's going to
And
happen.
I hear a lot of people, like I feel like often, Paul and I especially, we wing it, right? We wing the podcast.
Fake it
We
till you
wing
make
it. Meetings.
Fuck you, dude. You wing the podcast. I'm prepared. Like, I got papers
You
to show.
printed that out.
printed out a couple
10
ads.
minutes before we came here.
Fuck
you-
out of here. But you wing.
I don't even know what's on there.
We can wing
Core
things, and it's not that we wing it though, because we're prepared because we studied our craft enough to know what's coming at
Yeah,
us.
true.
Right?
Right,
Like
yeah.
Right.
our preparation is enough to know, like you think.
Can you stop banging the table? People can hear that.
Okay.
Sorry.
So I like spinning the table. It's fine.
Keep going.
All right.
Winging it.
Well, no, you prepare yourself to be the best at what you can do, because you never know what's going to come at you as far as, questions or this or that or situations during a mortgage. It's like, well, all right. Well,
Yeah.
I know that we need to do this. I didn't plan for that. You can't plan for everything in life. So
But you gotta
Not
prepare.
in this business.
But you can prepare.
No,
You can
it is
prepare
bizarre.
yourself for everything, right?
So Craig, so obviously you have had success. You've been featured in like Real Producers. You've got good numbers. You've done a really good job building a brand for yourself, and people know who you are. Talk to me about because a lot of our listeners are real estate agents, mortgage professionals, and even consumers. To be successful in a highly competitive, I mean, there's a billion real estate agents, right? And everybody's vying for the same thing. There's only so much business that everybody's trying to go after, right? So talk to me about what you think right now has caused some of your success.
So my biggest thing, and is I always kind of go back to skating because I've been doing it for so long, is the relationship. Obviously, it's sometimes common sense, but and communication, right? There was, when I skated with my partner or whether I have a team that I'm working with, it's a 50-50, and you have to give something to get something.
Yeah.
And when I call it the honeymoon period. In skating, it's maybe 4 or 5 months before you can start yelling at somebody.
Yeah.
In the real estate business, a little bit shorter because you're not
4
with
days.
that person. Yeah. Right, 4 or 5 days. But it's building that trust with that person, and how do you do that? And building that relationships. I've been building relationships with the skaters, with parents, and it's the same with home buying, right?
Yeah.
If you're representing the seller and there's a buyer that's coming along, you got 2 different families. How are you going to mesh them and make it work to where the end result, everybody's going to be happy?
Right.
So
Yeah.
my philosophy is 50-50, Even though I represent one side, I want to make sure that the other side feels happy. And at the end of the day, the other agent is happy, because that's who I'm going to deal with.
Because it's everybody's involved in the
70%.
same thing, right?
Exactly. So mine as well, make it a happy transaction. And at the end of the day, when you do have a house that's maybe sitting there,
Yeah.
you can call another agent and say, hey, we did a deal before.
So many
Would you
people,
have-
I feel like, don't see
I was gonna
that.
say
But they don't
that.
look that far ahead. They're pricks
'Cause they're
to
assholes.
the other agent.
Yeah.
Or they're pricks to the loan officer.
Well, they've got
not
the
realizing
blinders on,
They're going to deal
thinking
with them
that
again.
I've got the best interest of my client.
Right.
Well, the best interest of your client actually involves the best interest of everyone else.
100%.
Right?
I mean, you
And-
can't get it done if the other side's not happy.
Yeah.
Everybody's got to dance.
Right.
Everybody's got to. And to your point, Brad, in our industry, unfortunately, many times you have people at odds in the same transaction.
Yeah, which doesn't make sense.
Well, it's either the 2 real estates going at it, the listing agent's mad at the loan officer, and even the real estate agent that's representing the buyer are like fighting. It's like so crazy to me when I see this stuff happen, because everybody should be working together. Like I should be calling the listing agent, like saying, hey, blah 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 blah. You should be calling the listing agent, like, what do we need to do here? Because ultimately the person that suffers when everybody's being a dick is
The clients.
The clients.
The client.
Right. It's
Egos. We're
get
talking
a lot
egos.
of calls sometimes where I just got to bite my tongue and say, you know what?
You're right.
I will call you in 10 minutes again.
Right.
If that's what you want. If you want
Right.
to know it, I'll let you know when I eat.
Dude, I had a listing agent before we started the show.
Which is always.
She scheduled the closing before we had clear to close. I told her, don't do
Which
that.
happens often. The cart
Right.
before the horse.
Didn't it just happen this morning?
That's what I'm talking about. And the buyer's agent calls me like, I heard we're clear to close, and why didn't you tell me? I'm like, we're not clear to close. I didn't tell anybody. I told you the same thing I told her. We're very close. Look, to be fair, I know the listing agent wants to get it done. I get it. But let's all work together. Don't do something out of line. Like, don't
Right before
schedule
the horse
the
is
closing.
tough.
I refer it a lot to like the restaurant business too, because I was there, right? So the waiter always blames it on the chef if something went wrong with the
sure.
food or whatnot, right? So I mean, it all comes back full circle.
Everybody's a
But you
victim.
gotta-
Nobody wants it. Everybody's pointing a finger.
An analogy would be like having a wedding.
Oh god,
Here we go.
It's
Sounds
all
like the
planned.
best.
You got everyone coming there. I mean, the buyers got their movers, this, that, right? The sellers are like, we're getting on a truck and we're moving to Duluth. You know, it's a whole big thing, and they schedule it before the money's ready, right? It's like, how can you do that? You know, and I get it. Like, listen, if they scheduled a month out, sure. But I'll be like 2 weeks into a deal. They're like, yeah, we heard we're close.
Bro,
all of a sudden I'll get emails from title companies. We're scheduled.
Bro, we're talking Friday. Today's
Yeah.
Thursday. They scheduled it for tomorrow.
You guys are like,
Granted,
Talk about setting yourself up for failure.
Granted, listen,
Jeez.
we're probably going to make it.
Expectations.
It was in for CT, but you never know in a real estate transaction
Right.
what could go wrong. And I even said that. I was like, look, we're very close, but there could be there's a few more things that have to happen. I'm not giving the clear to close. Just listen to me. Let me handle that part of it.
So let's
right?
go back to, let's tie this full circle. The times where the agent or whoever is a dick in the transaction, why are they being a dick? It's because they set a shitty expectation and they want to throw someone else under the bus for it instead of working together to save
It's all
face.
ego, man.
It's ridiculous.
there's a lot of expectations, but you got to set those right.
You got to set the right expectations
gotta
so you don't
say it.
have to be a dick to save
And then
face.
even when you talk to a lender and it maybe they screwed up, maybe they didn't.
Yeah.
But you got to take it and go to the next level and just and explain that to your client that, you know what, at the end of the day, we will close.
Yeah.
You are a good buyer,
Yeah.
or you know
Exactly.
you can sell this. You know,
Yeah.
there was a little hiccup. You know, it's 3 extra days.
But
we'll figure this out.
But acknowledging the hiccup, explaining it properly, and being a good human to everybody involved is
And I
really
think
important.
Everyone needs to take a step back and realize this is not an operating room, right? We don't have someone sitting here with open heart surgery where it's like,
Yeah.
you know, it's like no one's gonna die. We might close Friday instead of Thursday.
Yeah, he's been drinking.
I love Sal's analogies. They're the best.
No, but it's actually true. I mean,
It's
like,
did you
it's
die?
Yeah.
No.
Right. Are you
Okay.
going to be there tomorrow? Yeah.
Sal's best
Okay.
line. The best line is, "Did you die?
Well,
Did you
Or-
die?
or-
Are you
or-
dead?"
it's like a war.
and I don't mean to be so brash, and of course, with my clients, I don't say, "Did you die?" But you know, it's like
That's what you're thinking.
But in reality, I'm like, dude, well, you don't understand. I got to take work off. I understand, actually.
Yeah.
You know,
You're
it will
fine.
be
I get
okay.
that.
And if you're working, understand that you're
Yeah,
closing.
you called
on
me
your
11
first
o'clock
home.
last night.
Yeah.
yeah. But you did something that you said something that I think is really important. It's relationships. That's really what our business is all about, man.
100%.
It's creating and anybody that's out there that's either a young real estate professional or even the older real estate professionals that looked at everything as a transaction. This business is so not transactional. It is 100% a relationship. How do you build relationships? Because realistically, people are buying you, right? When you go talk to someone about a listing or potentially helping them find a house, they're trusting you. It's not like my numbers and my billboard. Ultimately, it's you. So like I think that's really important. So for me, it's the question for you is how do you take that part of the business and convey that to all your clients and make sure that they know that they're working with a real person.
I actually, again, go back to, and I keep saying this, but I keep going back to the skating. And I actually do bring that up on some of the listing presentations. Like, listen, I dedicated 35 years to this sport.
Yeah.
I'm dedicating what I do as a profession now to you.
Right.
That's
good.
And it actually, again, they see the dedication that I had for that long a period of time, what I had to put into it. And a lot of times, again, most of the people that I'm dealing with right now is a lot of referrals and whatnot, but at the same time, those new people that are coming in, those are always the tricky ones, right?
They don't know who you are. Yeah.
Right. They have no idea who you are. So putting that out there, I don't like telling my numbers. I don't like telling, hey, I did this and I did that.
I've been doing this for X amount of years.
Yeah,
It's all bullshit.
I ask them, what are you looking for?
Yeah.
What's important to you? Do you want communication, or are you just a numbers person? So I mean, a lot has to deal with the psychology of it too.
And listening.
Listening to what they want. A big thing in with the relationships that I've built with the skating world is listening, showing up on time.
Yeah.
A lot of agents don't show up. Hey, I got an appointment at 9:30. Hey, I'm running 45 minutes late today,
Yeah.
and that's huge. We've gotten a couple listings just on that alone.
Again,
So,
the beauty of our
common
business,
sense,
the
but-
beauty of our business is a lot of the people in our business, unfortunately, are schlubs, and they're not great at their craft because they just don't see the importance of certain things. And I had a great mentor in the last place we worked, and the one thing he used to say was, in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king, right? So I don't have to be like the most amazing loan officer. You don't have to be the most. You just have to be better than everybody else, and if everybody else sucks. I mean, don't get me wrong. We should strive for perfection. But most people in our industry don't do these little things. They don't pick up the phone.
And
they don't return calls.
The biggest thing I think is that people hide from the objections. Like when you talk to a numbers guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and when we talk to someone who's about numbers, rates, right?
Yeah.
I was telling them, listen, you'll find a lower rate. There'll be a lower rate out there somewhere, right? It might be in Connecticut behind, some small little mortgage hut or whatever. But like, if that's all you care about, and honestly, if that's all you care about,
I'm not your
you
guy.
shouldn't work with me.
Yeah.
No, 100%. I mean, I tell a
And
lot
then
of
they
people.
usually do.
Yeah, the same thing with the, hey, here's 3 lenders. This is what they're going to do for you. They
Right.
might be a little bit higher, but if they communicate with you and they talk to you and they're human and they're just, go with them. Even if the rate's a little bit higher or whatnot, you gotta. The communication is such a huge part of
You
this
get
business.
what you pay for in this industry. And look, like we're very fortunate. We have very, very good investors. We've got good pricing with everybody that we have. But even if we didn't, right? Even if we didn't have good pricing, the reality is a purchase transaction has a lot of moving parts. It's not built for someone in a call center in Wichita to be able to like work through it. And all of a sudden, it's going to 4 different people, and you don't know where it doesn't work. Not smoothly.
No, it's a team.
Yeah, you
It's
got
a team, right?
It takes a lot. How many times do we have our backs against the wall and we're in it? Like we know exactly what's happening, and we got to get through an inspection, or we got to get through like a renegotiation on the appraisal. We've got to get through a reinspection because there's chipping paint on an like there's so many different things, and you've got to be so involved. It isn't fair to the client to go for the lowest rate in Wichita, where the person doesn't really understand our market or understand the teamwork that it takes.
And they don't know you. They don't know
Right.
right? I mean, you don't know the person. And again,
Yeah.
it goes right back to the relationship that you built with them.
Yeah.
And all the stuff that you've done up to that point, or when they, after 30 days, are like, you know what, I'm going to another place after spending 30 days with you guys.
Yeah.
And you know who
Yeah.
that person is. You've been on the phone with them.
Right.
You've discussed things. You kind of know about their life. And then all of a sudden they're like, you know what?
But it happens.
Oh,
And it's
100%.
better for the client to give them that ultimatum. Listen,
Up front.
man,
Yeah, let them know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm real good
Yeah.
as far as rates and whatnot
Right.
go. And I'm better with the service. But if you don't want to work with me because you want an eighth of a point lower, go find it.
Dude,
It's not only valuing your time, but it's valuing their time as well. Like, don't
Right.
don't
Yeah,
waste
no,
each other's time.
I don't
If it's
wanna-
not going to work
yeah.
out. It's not going to work out.
You actually have to make a decision because you have to close on time,
Right.
right? And I think that's one of the big things that
just
people
know.
just because 6 months later I'll call them and I'll be like, hey, rates have come down. What's your rate at again? I don't know.
but they'll remember a really bad experience.
Well,
Yeah,
no,
right.
they'll be like, why are you calling me or whatever? But when they were shopping so hard for rates, 6 months later, like, I don't know, I think it's 5.
Nobody knows what rate they
Well,
have.
you're actually at 4.5.
I think it's all coming back though to the relationship. I know it's
Yeah.
a common,
No, 100%.
common thing, but it keeps coming back to that. And I think it for a while there, it was how fast can you go, right? And now it's coming back to that personal touch.
Yeah.
It's who do you know, and again,
Deals are
who do you
taking longer
trust.
to close, lately. We'll get a deal done in 2 weeks because we're used to it.
Right.
And then, all right, schedule another 3 weeks out, right? Because lots of, as the
Contingent
market, I
offers,
don't want
yeah.
to say it's slowing down, but, evening out as far as sellers and buyers, these sellers also have to find a place to go, right?
Right.
So it's been like
And a lot of other companies aren't as fast
45,
as us.
60-day deals.
Yeah, yeah. It's the market has changed a little bit, and we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll ask Craig. We've got more questions for you, but we're going to get into these topics real quick, and then
Sure.
we'll circle back. So, CoreLogic came out with their numbers. So here's the funny thing. So everybody's talking about like the market slowing down and this, that, and the other thing, but the reality, and obviously this is a national level, so there's always micro markets and everything. But CoreLogic, who does a lot of projections, they're saying that 2019 we should see about a 4.6% appreciation rate on houses. That doesn't sound like a lot, but even if it was like 3%, which is way below their estimate, right? For a $200,000 house, that's $6,000 in appreciation. That's still really good appreciation, right? The housing market is still very, very healthy. Yeah, we're not seeing 15, 20 offers on a house like we did last year, but it's still a very healthy market. And everybody's kind of worried about this doom and gloom. So how do you speak to your clients on two fronts? A, buyers. How do you talk to them about right now is probably a really good time to buy between rates and everything else. And then also your listings who are like saw a house sell last year with 14 offers over ask with an inspection waiver. Now you kind of have to set expectations where like, dude, it's a different market now.
No, exactly. I mean, expectations are huge, right? So as soon as you go into that listing agreement, you got to say, hey, listen, we're not where we were a year ago, 2 years ago, where people are walking in and you know, your house is getting 15 offers. So you got to let them know up front. I mean, you got to be honest with them. Hey, this could take a little bit longer. We're seeing longer time on market right now with listings, and you got to price it. You got to price it the right way. And someone could come in and say, yeah, your house is $50,000 more, but you got to tell them, hey, you can either take the person that's going to be honest with you right up front and say, hey, this is where you should be, or you can go with someone that's going to ask for you the reduction.
That's a big problem for real estate agents right now, going to a listing appointment and they have 3 appointments set up hypothetically, and you come in, you're honest and you're realistic, and you're like, this is what it's worth, man. This is what it's going to take to move. And the other guy's like basically come in and be like, no, I can do that for $50K more.
Well, and, yeah.
How do you handle that?
I mean, I tell them, I said, listen, this guy's, you're going to have someone that's trying to buy your listing, right? And I know you guys have talked about this prior to my podcast, you know, that, hey, we're going to buy it. And then they see that. I'm saying, you could take what I do and who I am for what it's worth, and I'm telling you where I think this house should be. Yeah. Or you can go with that person. You could sit on the market. I'll watch it.
I'll let you know.
And I'll let you know that you were overpriced or whatnot. You know, and I've had overpriced houses. I'm not going to say I don't. Has, you know, and at some points you got to just take them, right? And say, you know, but set that expectation to that listing. Say to the seller, hey, listen, we're going to do 2 weeks at this price. Yeah. After that, you're going to listen to me. We're going to drop it $25,000 to where I think it should have been. Yeah. And otherwise, you're going to sit. And then you're just going to see it drop and drop.
Because the buyers are in the driver's seat right now.
100% the buyers.
Way more than they were a year ago. People don't get that. There's not 15 offers on a house anymore. There might be 4.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of, you know, coming in $20,000 less, $15,000 less on homes that are $190,000, $200,000. I mean, I grew up in Royal Oak and whatnot. I actually grew up in Cleveland, but been in Royal Oak for a long enough time to see that the house prices were skyrocketing, and now they're starting to come down, and people are still trying to reduce because it's a buyer's market. There's not much
way healthier though, in my opinion.
For sure.
It's a healthy market.
And I think that time is one of the biggest X's in the equation, right? Like, how quickly do you want to sell your house? Right.
I mean, like, it's all that, but yeah, time is huge, right? What's your motivation? Do you need to be gone right now, or
like, do you care? I mean, if you want people kicking tires, walking through your house, you know, you're going to end up likely closing at what I told you, right? And it's kind of the same thing with the rates and all that. It's like, well, how long do you see yourself in this house, right? 2 years? Okay, well, let's talk about this. 30 years? Of course, you're going to pay points, right? But reality, that's one of the biggest.
My uncle told me never to pay points. Why would I do that?
Right. My Aunt Tilly said my house is worth $400,000. Sorry.
Yeah.
So
it happens.
I guess my whole point with this core logic thing is, guys, whoever's listening to this, and I know a lot of professionals are listening to this, but like, we have a really healthy market. Yeah, like there's going to be a recession coming soon. I know it, but the housing market is not going to collapse like it did in 2008. I think people just have got to get that out of their head. We are in a very, very healthy housing market. And I don't think there's anything, all the numbers say that. I think employment numbers are good. Of course, anything can happen. But as of right now, the way things stand, we're set up good. Like, we're good going into the next year or 2 years.
And the strong will survive as well as regards to agents and whatnot. Like you said, the ones that are not answering their phones.
I hope they all get out of the business. All of them. Everybody else that isn't us. Sorry.
Just us 4.
Yeah,
we'll make it work.
And Jessica will be there too.
Sorry, Jessica. 5 of us.
I mean, you're excluding Jessica.
Sorry, Jessica.
I mean, this is not right.
I mean, I'm not in real estate, so it's fine.
You will be. If it was just us, you would be in. Next thing that I want to talk about is Zillow. So we all know Zillow is like a love-hate relationship with realtors and mortgage professionals. Mostly hate, but if you're smart. But so Zillow, they're being kind of accused of putting their listings ahead of everybody else's, kind of promoting their own. Because, you know, just so everybody knows, Zillow is buying houses on the market and then they're listing them on their own, and they're partnering up and giving less commissions to real estate agents, whatever. So what they're doing is they're saying, well, I don't blame them. It's my listing. I'm going to put it ahead of everybody else's. But what it does is it's creating this thing where Zillow is controlling the market on some level, and being that it's such a massive app that everybody uses.
Everybody uses it.
Everybody.
I use it. You know what I mean?
I do too.
It's
I'm an agent.
dangerous.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, but
if they're controlling, that's dangerous
but
to
we're
the whole.
giving the control up to them.
I know.
You know that, right?
Think about how dangerous that is. One company could demolish our entire market if they made the wrong move.
I don't think
potentially.
they could
They
demolish
also have
us.
Amazon too. Amazon.
Which
I'm
is-
getting things
it's
from Amazon
insane.
saying that they're going to start doing the same thing. There.
Right.
And I mean, if they take over, that could be
It's a
be interesting.
little problematic.
Yeah.
I mean, last Toys R Us, how that worked out for them.
Yeah.
I want to be Toys R Us. I do
I know,
not
I'm
want
not-
to be Toys R Us. I want to be Toys R Us.
I'm not too afraid of taking over as taking the realtor's position.
Yeah.
Because I think that human quality of
Right.
being there,
But it will
knowing
compress your margins.
It definitely will.
That's the
It
thing.
definitely will.
Right? It will
Definitely will.
compress all our margins.
Yes.
Or who you work for.
Or who you work for.
It's like, oh,
You got to be one
Well,
step
just
ahead.
I mean, just think about this. Think about what you can buy on Amazon and what the profit margins are on Amazon. They're just doing volume, right? And everybody had to basically conform to those margins because otherwise you're not going to sell the product, right? Same thing with what's the other place, Walmart, right? Same thing. They were the first ones that like started doing the. If we start seeing that on the real estate side, there is something different though about the real estate side. There is a human element and there is a complexity that isn't. It's not. We're not like a pen, right? It takes a lot more effort.
and we can speculate all we want on our side or Amazon side or Zillow side, but at the end of the day, it's whatever's best for the client, right? They're going to choose what's best for them. So if you're not providing enough value on your side, they might use Amazon Realtor or Zillow Mortgage or whatever, right? So you kind of because shit, we all use Amazon, guaranteed, right?
Yeah.
I'd rather do that than go to Walgreens to get deodorant. Like it's easy enough for me, right? So, and granted, I'm not every consumer, right? Some people like to do that or pump their own gas or whatever, right? Well, everyone pumps their own gas, but
Not
you
everyone.
used to have
Not-
self-service
not-
gas station or not
Yeah.
self-service. You'd have service
Full
gas
service,
stations,
yeah.
full-service gas
Yeah.
stations, right? When's the last time you saw one of those?
where you write over that thing, goes,
My
and the
hometown.
bell rings, right? And somebody comes
Bird
out,
running
They still
out.
have one.
and when you do it by accident,
movie
the guy
The
comes
Jerk?
out, and you're like, no, man, I didn't.
They had
mean
one
it.
in Fraser where I grew up. That was awesome. You know, I'm like the other day I was like, damn, that'd be sweet.
What was the price difference? It was like a 10-cent difference.
Yeah, they-
Yeah, it
10
wasn't
cents.
much.
Yeah,
when
it was
gas
10
was $1.
Yeah.
So 10% higher,
72
right?
cents.
But
You weren't, you weren't driving when it was $1, brother.
It's like the movie The Jerk.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
He hates these cans.
If anybody
Man.
knows that reference, please comment below.
yeah, but yeah, it's all going to come down to what's the best for the consumers. So if they're able to create a platform that does that, buckle in.
Do you
right?
see it?
I just don't see it
I
happening.
guess I'll pose a question to you guys.
Yeah.
Do you think it's do you think it'll hit Michigan as much as it hits California, the Florida market? I think it's all out there in the bigger markets right now than it has come to Michigan. I think Zillow has come along, leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I see it more in those states than I do
It'll start
see
in
it.
major markets more, where there's
Yeah.
more volume,
Yeah.
larger loan sizes, right? But don't discredit the fact that they're going to be everywhere soon. Right?
Right.
This isn't like a.
It's
they're
coming.
not just doing this to be like in like California.
Right.
It's more
Right.
valuable to save $1 in California than it is here, right? Just given the
Well, the
the
dollar's
price.
worth less in California, though. The dollar does not get you as far in California.
That's what I'm saying. It's more valuable
Yeah.
to save one, right?
Sure.
Just as, it maybe 1% off your home or whatever. So, yeah, I think that has something to do with it. But
Hey.
you can't underestimate that it's a World Wide Web, and it makes the whole country on one website.
Tara Chody just said there's still a full service gas station in Rochester. So I just that's what
didn't know that.
that's what
Nice.
she said. I don't know.
Have to visit that.
Where, Tara? I want to go.
Tara, please
Let's
let us
check
know.
it out.
where.
We're all going today. We're all going today. What's the gas
Right after
prices?
this. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, look, the reality of Zillow, Realtor.com, Open Door. Here's the reality. The reality is there's a lot of money, venture capital money, just getting dumped into the real estate, trying to figure out how to simplify the real estate process. You've got Quicken trying to do the Rocket Mortgage. You've got Zillow trying to do Buy Your House Now. There's all this money going into it. So these people aren't stupid. Like there's something there, right? They're not going after something that isn't going to happen. This is the reality of what's going to happen. This is coming, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the idea is how do you get out ahead of it? How do you adapt? And how do you set yourself apart? That's really the difference. Like Target, I'll give you an example. Like I go to Target. I love going to Target. It's not the cheapest place to shop, right?
RJ.
Target, yeah. It's not the cheapest place to shop. I love walking in there. I always spend more than I should, right? But
Always.
they've got a thing figured out where like I like going there, and not because
Like
It's
the
pretty
smell of the
damn cheap,
popcorn.
dude. I mean, you get a shirt for like $6.
I do think. I mean, I do think that it's coming back a little bit though too. To actually, like, malls are gone, right?
Gone.
I mean,
Yep.
so completely gone.
Gone.
But I do think that the consumer, with the house, you want to see a house, right? You got to have that feel when you walk into a house. So it's hard for me to see that.
You can't return a
that-
house,
Right.
right?
That
You can buy
change-
a $5,000 3D printer on Amazon, play with it for a month, and be like, I don't like it.
We do have
Return.
a program though. Through Howard Hanna, we actually buy a house back up to
Really?
$600,000 for the first year.
really.
Yes. Yeah.
Whoa.
It's
Well,
pretty cool.
You're
program.
wrong, Dick.
Wow.
Just 1 year.
Stand corrected.
Just 1 year.
I mean, that is.
if you're not
that
happy
is
with
strong.
it,
That's
unheard
strong.
of.
It's pretty crazy.
That's wild.
Yeah.
I don't think
Full
anybody knows
price,
that.
buyback.
It's buyback. 100%
Wow.
money back. 100% money back guarantee. for
If
the
you don't
first
like the
year.
house.
If you don't like that.
What's the catch?
Pretty awesome.
So you have to. The catch is if you do, it has to be with a Howard Hanna agent listing and a Howard Hanna agent buying.
Got it.
Right.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I mean, it benefits everybody.
Yeah.
Right. And it's kind of a cool incentive. And
I don't
then on
think
top of
anybody
it,
knows that.
no, it's pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And then on top of it, at the end of the day, like, you can move up or down. So say you bought a $500,000 house, and I'm going to a $150,000 house because I'm scaling it down. We still will work with you, but you have to work with that agent or someone with Howard Hanna.
Wow.
No, so no renting.
No renting. No renting. You know what? That's a good question. I don't know if you can rent after that. I think you still have to purchase, but I have to
That's
find that
pretty-
out.
I
but I
mean,
mean, it's still.
That's strong.
So it
it's
benefits
strong.
us in
Yeah.
a way,
crazy.
right?
That's like
It's a
the
great
Liberty
marketing
Mutual
wins.
or whatever, the insurance, like, get a brand new, get the next year model car,
Right.
right? You crash your 17, you get an 18.
The whole thing is, though, I'd say in my career, in the 5 years that I've been with Howard Hanna, I haven't had it. My
Yeah.
mom's had it one time
Really?
in Ohio. Just,
I mean, when
how many
you-
people want to move one every
No,
year?
dude.
Right.
Right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
that's
You
the
know,
tough
it does
part.
happen, though, especially with condos.
It has to be catastrophic.
So I had
Yeah.
someone buy a condo, and they're like, I hate my neighbors.
Yeah, well, that's it.
They
You
closed
know,
like
you got terrible neighbors.
4 months ago,
Right.
and put minimum down, and I'm like, dude, you're way underwater.
You're not going anywhere.
You're way underwater.
You're not
Yeah.
going anywhere, man. Especially with all the fees. So, all right. So we're gonna get into 3 questions. This is- we
Uh-oh.
do this on.
I did hear this on the last podcast.
Yeah.
So, yeah, great.
So first one's really easy. We ask everybody the same thing. What scares Craig Joe Wright?
And I know that I think Stacy said, is it your business or is it personal?
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Whatever it
So
means to
I
you.
will. I'll kind of go with both, right? So in the real estate world, I don't like signing contracts right away. The buyer's contract that you're going to be working with me solely. First time we see each other, like I said, there's that honeymoon period,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And if you don't like me, why do you need to work with me, and why do I need to waste my
Right.
time, right? So that contract kind of scares me a little bit. I've had trouble with it, with having somebody the first day I see you and meet you that you're going to sign this contract that you're going to work with me for 6 months. It's helped me in the past, and it's also hurt me in the past. But that's something that scares me because it's something hard for me to overcome because I'm always told, get it signed, get it signed, get it signed, get it
It's
signed.
like closing. You're afraid of closing.
I'm afraid of closing at that point.
You're scared
on the
of
first
closing.
day. I'm
Yeah.
scared
Yeah,
of
you
closing.
don't-
on the
you
first
gotta
day.
I think a good thing would be to slip that in with your first offer.
And
right?
I typically
Well, not
do
slip
with
it
the
in,
offer.
but you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like,
Slip it
but
in.
Yeah,
but
let's-
before you write an offer, like, how do you know you actually want to work with that person?
Right. And again, it's, you know, how many showings do you do before you actually get it signed and whatnot? But again, I think that it's a hard. You're building a relationship in a matter of an hour. To me,
You
that's
got to earn
not
that contract.
100%.
I agree with that. I
don't-
respect that a lot.
I don't agree with that. Getting and some of my
There's
managers
two-
and some
there's-
will probably
yeah.
kill me for this. But again, it's
There's
hard to
two
do that.
sides of the coin. One of them is if you don't strike while the iron's hot, and I've been taught both
Yeah,
sides.
yeah.
Like I was a closer. I closed by nature. Like I was I was a really avid closer, and I was always like touting it. Now I've come. I think it's nobody wants to be closed. Everybody knows they're being closed. It's on. Like you don't want to I don't want to be sold. Right. I want to make the decision. Right, I want to feel good about you. Then I'll make the decision. Now you can ask, be like, listen, I do eventually need to get this signed, but I want you to sign it because you trust me, and then we'll figure that out. But like I'm going to need this at some point,
Right.
right? As opposed to being like, are you going to sign this or not?
Well, I mean,
Right.
again, and you asked at the beginning of the podcast, like, how do you build that relationship, or how do you get where you've gotten to?
Yeah.
Right. And I try not to pressure. Right. It's here. This is what it is.
Yeah.
You know, this is what I do. If you like it, great. At any point in time, in like in a listing agreement, you're not happy with what I'm doing. Let's talk. Let's sit down. And if I can't improve on that,
Yeah.
let's go find somebody else. I think it's better off because you're only wasting.
You want to provide enough value for someone to want to work with you.
Absolutely.
That's the.
If they don't want to work
value.
with you, I can't see how. I mean, I can get it. Like if
Are you going to hold them hostage?
they sign the contract, right, and all of a sudden you find out that they're under contract on another home. That's one thing, right? Maybe you want to. You showed them 100 homes, right, and you want to get yours out of it. But
Just happened.
if you just find out that they're working with someone else, no, you got to work with me. Like,
No.
let them go, man.
No.
That's
Right.
crazy,
Yeah.
right?
It's like trying to date someone that wants to
with
like
mortgage.
not-
We don't
doesn't wanna date
we don't have anything until
It's
it
right.
closes, and it's kind of crazy because I've been a
Yeah.
week away from closing, and they're like,
Go with
"Sorry,
somebody
man."
else.
I had someone.
Went to Thanksgiving and I'm going with my aunt.
No. You want to hear a crazy story?
Why don't you go with her to start?
I got double apped once. So basically, this guy was like, he apped it with me, and he apped it with somebody else.
I
Another
remember
lender.
this too.
Yeah, I got double apped. So basically, he had 2 applications for mortgages going at the same time. And he called me and he goes, "Hey man, we were like a day away from closing, like we were real close, like we did a good job." And he was like, "Hey man, I'm clear to close on the other deal. I'm out." I'm like, "What?
Whoa.
What do you mean?" I'm like, "Oh, you've been fucking someone else this whole time."
You dirty fucking whore.
Man,
That's crazy. That's
that,
crazy.
That was hard to like swallow.
The last one I just had was I had showed about 52 homes to a gentleman, and I thought we built a good rapport. I sat at a house for like an hour with my kids and my family were in the car waiting for him and everything, and got a text on like 2 days after New Year's. "Hey, thanks for all your work. We're going with another agent because you couldn't get the deal done on the one house that we asked for $75,000 off."
Did he get the deal you wanted though?
No.
Of course
No.
not.
And then I didn't have anything signed. Well, actually, he did sign because I had him sign when he sent the agreement in, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Well, I got you till February 25th. He's like, "Well, I'll just wait to buy at that time."
Oh,
So
wow.
it was
Well, at
like-
that point, it's like, dude.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, it's like, all right, see you later.
dude, I do
Thank
what
you.
I could. If you don't see the value in me, I can't.
Right.
I'm not gonna rape you
Nope.
into it.
Nope. I mean, it's hard as an agent
Yeah.
because I internalize, like, what did I do wrong?
Yeah.
What did I do
Right.
wrong?
It's the worst, dude.
And
Because we
then
care.
you don't get that
Yeah.
feedback. Yeah,
right.
that's-
You had no idea, and then you get a text message.
Yeah, that's the
Especially when
worst.
we care enough to where we want to do a good job, and someone just tells you like you suck and like you didn't do what I wanted. It's like, dude, what? I mean, I thought I was doing everything.
Yeah.
but I think it's good to have the play better mentality, right? That we kind of
Right.
talked about before. It's like, man, I thought I did everything, right?
Yeah,
I thought
for
I
sure.
was so good. I thought
You put everything out
but
there.
you weren't.
No, somebody
Yeah,
else played
right?
better. Andy-
Somehow, some way, you
Yeah.
weren't, and you got to play better.
But the frustrating part is you don't know how you where you could have
And some
improved.
people are irrational.
All right, we got to get these next
assholes.
questions.
It's like getting a divorce
All right.
without
Sorry.
trying to work
Next
it out
question.
first.
All right. What country is the worst to compete against?
I would say,
And
we're
what?
talking figure skating, obviously.
Yeah.
So I'd say probably Russia or China.
Why?
They're just so competitive in machines, man. They're like
Drago.
there is no. Their
I don't think
rule
that's
is so
surprising.
much
You
stronger.
fail, you die.
Like here in the United States, if you do something wrong, it's like, okay, the parents will come down on you, whatever. There, it's like, parents, who are they, right? I mean, it's their law, and
Yeah.
it's the coaches, what they tell you, you do it. And the respect that they have for them is crazy. And
Yeah.
it's, and they start at, 2 or 3 years old, and they just build and build
Yeah.
and build and build. They don't always compete right away. They work on it until they got their craft down to a science, and then they go out.
Wow.
So they're a powerhouse. And
Yeah.
They will always be a powerhouse.
Yeah.
Just the way they are. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Who has had the biggest impact on your life thus far?
Outside of us,
Jeez.
obviously.
Outside of you
Yeah,
guys.
I mean
Yeah.
Jessica really
And
is-
Jessica.
yeah, Jessica.
Biggest impact. I would is let's see. I would say my parents, to be honest with you.
yeah.
From my father having his business, like just the way that he's always conducted himself with work and his work ethic. I mean, he's in his 70s and he's, always got a project, right? And my mother from, when I was little skating, I mean, she's always with me, driving me, doing that stuff. And now she's a real estate agent. And just what they've instilled in me has...
No, they took a lot out of it. I mean, having kids now, I understand that it's a big sacrifice.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And what they sacrificed, I mean, my mom was working 2 jobs. My dad was, he works for the steel industry, so he was traveling and whatnot, and she was taking, I have 2 other brothers.
3 boys?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep,
God
3
bless your
boys. I'm the
kids.
middle. So, yeah, I mean, I would say that they've probably been my biggest influence.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
It's really hard to to come to that realization until you're older. Like you don't appreciate what they've done for you until you get older. And
No,
I hope my goal is that one day my kids will get old and appreciate.
that's
I just want my kids not to think I'm a dick.
right.
Yeah,
Appreciate
and
all that I've
it's
done.
when you become a parent, you never realize it until you
Exactly.
become a parent. And once you are a parent, it's like, oh, they grow up so fast, and you're like, whatever.
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
once you have
yeah.
kids,
Wait till you have kids.
Yeah,
Well,
it
to
is true though. I mean,
To
it's
do
like-
for someone what they did to you is sometimes hard, right? And when you're like, shit, I gotta give up going to rock on third. You know, like that's tough. Yeah.
Oh, when the day Sal has kids.
yeah.
All right.
That's gonna be a tough one.
Greg, tell the audience how they can get a hold of you, brother.
You can call me, text me, email me, but cell phone is always the best, right? I mean, texting 248-535-4750. And then email is just Craig Joe Wright, which is CraigJoeright at howardhanna.com, are probably the best one. It's not Joe Wrong and it's not Joe Left.
Yeah,
It's Joe
Joe
Wright,
Wright.
spelled just the way it sounds.
There it is.
There is no W.
He looks good in the leotard. All right.
Yes,
so-
absolutely. Never worn one, but
Everybody,
yeah, it's good.
thank you to all our listeners. We really appreciate all the support. Obviously, check us out on wherever you get your podcasts. Jessica, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you letting me
have
on.
have a wonderful day, guys.
Thank you. Thanks.
You've been listening to Inside Real Estate.